Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, tell him, you should actually show that permit before he goes into somebody's yard, because people, especially me, are pretty skeptical.
I know, that's why I'm aware.
So,
I mean, we were right.
Good evening, this is a regular city council meeting of August 19th, 2013. We do have a quorum, let's stand and say the pledge to the flag. Pledge, please.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I'd ask all individuals to either silence or turn off their cell phone, pagers, or other electronic devices that may disrupt the meeting, and refrain from using these devices during the meeting to avoid disrupting the proceedings. Approval of the agenda. We had three additions to the agenda.
Mr. President, I move for the approval of the agenda with the additions of the new business of E, camera, locations as E, F, drug testing, G, introductory of new sign regulations, and then also at closed session. Dan, do you want to mention the two property? Lots 11, 12, and lot 20 of the water power district, and let's see, 4 and 5 of the Broadway edition, is that correct?
Yes, north half of lot 3, north half 4 and 5 of lot 3 Broadway.
That's my motion, Mr. President.
Would this be the proper time to bring up voting on if we're gonna give direction to staff? I'd like to have that on this page that we vote. If we're gonna give staff direction.
Yeah, I mean, you have a motion on the floor, it would be up to the person making the motion to amend his motion, I suppose. I mean, you have a motion, you don't have a second at this point.
Okay.
What I'm saying is to add your portion to Brian's motion, would require Brian to agree with it.
But I don't agree with that, so could that be just a second one after this?
Second and vote on Alderman Crowder's motion, and then Councilman Goshen could bring up his own motion after that.
Okay.
Is there a second to that motion approval of the agenda? Is there a second to the agenda? Is there a second to the agenda? Hearing none, we have an approved agenda.
Mr. President, I will remake my motion to include H for the discussion of playground equipment only at the north end of town, and label that as H under new business.
I'll second that.
Got a motion by Alderman Crowder, second by Councilman Goshen for the approval agenda with the additions of E, F, G, and H.
additions to the closed
as
session.
well as additions to the closed session, right? Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. The copy of the minutes for the special work session meeting of August 5th, 2013, and the regular meeting of August 5th, 2013, and closed. What's the wish of the council?
Mr. President, I so move for approval.
Is there a second?
Second.
Got a motion by Alderman Crowder, second by Councilman Hapler for the approval of the minutes. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Approval of the bills, Mr. Goshick.
I'd like you all to turn to page 1. If you have any concerns or items to discuss, I'd appreciate it if you do so as I call the pages out. Page 1. Page 2. Page 3. Page 4. Page 5. Page 6. And page 7. Hearing nothing on this,
I have a question.
go ahead.
Lori, for the Wetzel Law Firm for August, for 1,956, is that just, what was she working on during that month?
I believe there was some planning commission items, sign ordinance stuff, some stuff for CTC, yeah.
Thank you.
Any other ones? That all said and done, I'd like to make a motion to approve checks 86,543 through 86,658, totaling $576,097.43.
Second.
Got a motion by Councilman Goshick, second by Councilman Hapler for approval of the bills. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Awards, donations, presentations. Presentation, Sister City Committee, Melissa. Labor J. Exchange.
I have pictures to show you, so if we can get the screen to work here. So again, bonsoir, good evening, my name is Melissa, I am the president of the Sister City Committee. You've got people. So there were 21 delegates from Minnesota who participated in the last exchange for the Sister City program. 5 of these delegates were brand new to the committee from here in Little Falls, so we're excited to have some new members. Almost 3/4 of the 21 participants, it was their first time participating in an exchange to France, so a lot of new people were able to participate. And so we were in France from June 20th through July 8th. You're not going to like it, are you? And so this is a photograph of the group that went. This is inside the Paris Opera House. And go ahead, next slide. Thank you, Jerry, for being my regard. A lot of people see us as just plain old tourists when we're over there, but I really want to communicate that it's more than just being tourists. I found this quote in an article about the Sister City International program, which is what our organization is kind of based off of, is that when you're out there visiting other countries, you're marketing your city. So you can go ahead and flip to the next couple slides. So this is us at the Le Bourget, the National Air and Space Museum, at Le Bourget Airfield, which is where Lindbergh landed. And a lot of times when we're out there touring, people are asking, where are you from? Because basically we have American written on our forehead. And so I would explain, have you heard of this guy Lindbergh who flew across? Oh yeah, Lindbergh. And they almost always knew who he was. And so I explained, Sister City, we have his boyhood home here in Little Falls. So I almost talked about Little Falls as much as I learned about France. So we saw chateaus. This is at a Calvados cave and bottling factory in the Normandy region, nowhere near the beaches, but in the same region. And so the woman in the white coat is Jocelyn. She is the president of all of their committees, because Le Bourget actually has more than one sister city, so they have a lot more work to do than I do. So go ahead. Did a lot of time in Paris this year, because we had so many new people to France. So we're walking the Champs-Élysées here. More big castles. It is France after all. But my favorite is the next slide, because at this afternoon, you may recognize the woman there on stage with the horses. One of our committee members, Christina Johnson, was selected, I believe at random from the crowd, to participate. The black horse there eventually fell over in distress, and she had to pull on its tail and pump it back up full of air and give the horse a kiss in order to get the show going again. So it was quite entertaining. These are two of the French committee members, Esperanza in the blue and Michelle in the other coat. And this is just in one of the gardens in Paris. And so it's a lot of times with other committee members, with the French, with each other. And of course, you can't have France without flowers, especially when they take us to Giverny, where we saw Monet's house, which is where his famous paintings were painted with the water lilies and the bridge. Y'all know it if you ever saw it. So that's me. My dad was the only non-Little Falls resident to come along. Alexander in the back. Sandy and her granddaughter Alyssa. Well, I guess she's over, yeah. So go ahead. And of course, lots of sightseeing. This is Sacré-Cœur, the Sacred Heart Church at the top of Montmartre. So, but it's not all fun and games. Go ahead. It's a lot of sitting and talking and eating, and this is where the crux of the program is at. Is in these social gatherings. Long-term relationships are built by figuring out how to talk to each other. And that's the most amazing part is I was very proud of our crew this year is because almost everybody was trying to speak French. None of us really knew a lot, except for Mike, who is on the committee. He is fluent in French. So we did a lot of figuring it out. And it's amazing how much you can communicate with people you cannot speak to, especially when playing games. They taught us, once again, pétanque, which is the French version of bocce ball. And I don't know, Dan, am I allowed to give things to the city during my presentation? Because they gave me stuff that I had to give to the city eventually. I forgot to tell you about that part. Okay. Because I have a trophy from the Le Bourget has its own pétanque club. And so this trophy is from their club to our city, because when we went in 2009, they taught us this game. It was my first exchange, so it was brand new to me. I don't know if this is a longer tradition than that, but we have a tournament. And then when they were here in 2011, we had a bocce ball tournament. And so we had a tournament when we went over there, and I am now proud to say I'm the reigning pétanque champion. But I will confess, I had the ringer as my partner, a 94-year-old gentleman named Adamo. He has been playing pétanque 3 times a week for the last 30 years. So I'm okay, but he's really good. So. Oh, we have to go take a picture. And don't go too far, I got more stuff. So go ahead and continue. Lots and lots of food. Esperanza, the woman in the middle in the white tank top, she is originally from Spain, and all of that paella on that table, she and a few other French made for us. It's her family recipe, absolutely to die for. And so not only were we exposed to French culture, we were exposed to Spanish culture as well. And it's a lot of sitting and talking and eating, as I said earlier. They also, go ahead, taught us how to play lotto, which is their version of bingo. So we might have to get revenge and play bingo when they come here. It's an interesting game. The Johnson girls really brought home the prizes. They were quite lucky at this game, so go ahead. More food. The French have a completely different attitude than we do about food. A lot of us eat on the go and run, and our lives are so busy that we don't sit down and eat. You don't really see that in French. It's sit and talk and talk and eat some more, and there was often times over the exchange in my experience that we were having dessert at midnight, and that's because how long we've been talking and eating. So go ahead. This is the dinner in white, the White Garden Party. If any of you have been to the event at Linden Hill, that event at Linden Hill is inspired by the French. When we were there 4 years ago, some of the group was able to go to a big castle as part, because their host families were part of a hiking club that had this huge dinner in white. And the Roberts were so kind to let us use their backyard and host our own miniature version. We probably had close to 50 to 75 people crammed into that yard there. And this is the second evening party they had. I stopped taking pictures during part of the trip, so you're getting my very limited view. But we were there over Independence Day. So they threw us a French version of a 4th of July barbecue, complete with music and games and musical chairs, which that is quite an entertaining thing. I don't remember the last time I played musical chairs, let alone see my father play musical chairs. So it was a lot of fun, a lot of laughter. But it's not all fun and games. We also have our official duties, and just keep promoting, going back to that original goal of when President Eisenhower created the international organization after World War II, was to rebuild relationships between countries. And we did that one relationship at a time is how this works, so go ahead. This is our welcome dinner. The gentleman closest to me is the Senator Mayor. In France, you're apparently allowed to double dip in responsibilities, and so he is the mayor of Le Boucher, but he's also the senator for their region. Myself and then Mike Schneider, who, when we have our meeting on Wednesday, will be elected vice president of the committee. He speaks French, so Kathy made him her representative. And then behind him is Jocelyn. Next to him is Jean-Pierre, who is, he works with the city. I don't remember his official title. And then lastly is Alexander, who is the president of our committee. So go ahead. We also had official delegate duties, but we got a tour of their Senate building this year. A very nice place. We were able to sit in a session and observe, and we actually got to see them vote on a bill that changes their constitution. It is a very interesting process. They had all these colored chips that went into different buckets based on how they voted. And then we had dinner, or lunch, with the Senator Mayor and some of his staff. And that's pretty much the trip in a summary. There's one more picture of the Eiffel Tower, because we cannot go to Paris without seeing the Eiffel Tower. So, but just, once again, it was a great exchange. Relationships were strengthened, new ones were built, and the entire delegation that went over is constantly bombarding me with, this is what we should do with them when we have them here next, which would be 2015 is when we're scheduled to host again. So, yes, is there any questions? Otherwise, I do have a couple more committee-to-committee gifts to present to the city. Since we did so much eating, our gifts this year is Made in France, a book full of food throughout the entire country. And then a nice tray table thing. And I guess, if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to have Sandy Smith come up as a first-time participant and just tell you in 2 words or less. Okay, maybe not less. That's pretty high demand there, 2 sentences or less. Just her experience as a first-time participant since she was recruited by her granddaughter to join us this year.
Hi, I'm Sandy Smith. It was a tremendous opportunity to be able to travel with the group and represent Little Falls, Minnesota, and the USA. I love the architecture. We went to castles, we saw the Eiffel Tower, we saw the replica of Lindbergh's plane. It was very important for them to show us that. It was very important for us as a group to see the replica of Lindbergh's plane, and that is exactly why we were there. What was most interesting, though, in my viewpoint, was creating friendships, and I'm hoping long-lasting friendships with the people that we stayed with, our host families, all of the committee people from La Berger, and share their laughter, share their culture, share their stories of their family. But my most memorable occasion, and I figured this out a little bit later, was when we were invited with our host family, and this was my granddaughter and I, to dinner with a new committee member from La Berger who did not have a host family. We were invited to his house. He lived with his mother, his father, and his uncle came over also. No one spoke English except Claudine, my host mother.